Day. I am so grateful for all the grace that I got yesterday. Because normally these lives are on Monday. But this week is kind of like this interesting flux week of like some scheduling stuff changing. So here I am, and we're gonna do this. I'm really excited to talk about this today, actually, because I was talking with a really good friend of mine on the way home from work today, and it's kind of like this topic that actually like came out of that where it was just like, man, when we are doing stuff that feels different than what we're used to, and it's kind of like forcing us a little bit to step out of our status quo, like what is it that causes us to second guess and maybe even get paralyzed in that process? Like pretty much what's keeping us from being fully confident. Um, so, hi, this is your first time seeing me. My name is Janae, and I help ambitious women who are lacking the confidence in what they're doing achieve success and results. I do that using a lot of mindset techniques and really just going deep on like what actually at a root level is causing change to not happen. So, if that's your jam and you like this type of thing, after you watch this video, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you'll be notified whenever new videos come on. There are videos that are done weekly, so you can also totally go binge watch the ones that are currently there because there's quite a few, and I would do the same thing. So that's totally fair. And if you're watching on Facebook and you like it, feel free to hop on over after this. Okay, I'm going to dive in because I feel like the topic of like what could stop us from being fully confident is something that there are so many people, and when I say that, I don't say that as this generic term, but literally, like on a weekly basis, I have been talking to people who have had goals. They're like, hey, I want to do this thing. And then while they're in the execution phase of their goal, they're like second guessing themselves. They're having like doubt creep in. They're not really sure about what they're doing. And it causes this entire spiral to start before they ever get started. And so, I am going to first start by talking about like how do we actually address the feeling of like us not being enough, of like us not being worthy of whatever it is that we are trying to achieve. So what this means is, so say that you set something out that you're like, hey, okay, this is what I want to do. I know that it's possible because I've maybe seen other people do it. And so I know that I have the skill set to do it, yet we start to question our own value and like what we actually bring to the table, to the point of not being able to actually like execute that thing successfully. And what ends up happening is like that original embed that we had about like, hey, I don't know if I'm really able to do this thing, actually turns very quickly into like, dang, that thing did not work out as I planned. Ergo, like I was right from the beginning, and like it becomes this process where almost like in an effort for us to get closer to our goal, but those thoughts are coming in, we end up getting farther and farther away, and that proves our first point. Does this sound familiar? Because I like this has happened to me before. It's happened multiple times before. And it's extremely frustrating when you're in that process because it feels like, okay, I've seen people do it and I don't know what the heck their magic pill is. And like, why is it that I still feel very stuck here? And like that whole paradigm, if you have like ever felt that, seriously, let me know. Um, and so I think a lot of times what happens is, and I've just like in society, like if you just look at like what is it that we actually praise versus things that we kind of criticize. And when we like as a collective see people who are intentionally going out of their comfort zone and maybe they're doing things that are kind of challenging our own beliefs that we have about ourselves, our own thoughts, it's so easy to switch instantly into judgment, and really has nothing to do with what we're seeing. It has to do with what's going on within ourselves. And so, if you have been hearing comments from people, maybe they're people that are super close to you, and you're like, dang, what's up with not getting support, right? Like, why is this like not, why am I not feeling supported and stuff like that? I want you to think about like, is it really them that we're looking to our worth? Like, are we looking to other people to validate ourselves? And are we treating their own, like being faced with their limitations as it being a reflection of who we are, because they're very different things. Another thing that holds people back from being confident, I also have a disclaimer about confidence, but I'll talk about that in a second, is like constantly overthinking. I was actually in a call recently, like last week, and it was kind of like a workshop type of thing where it was like, hey, you're gonna learn some stuff, you're gonna implement. And it was something that, like, I kid you not, I have not completed in like at least a month. Like I've been like like kind of working on it piece by piece. I had not completed it, and it had been like a month's time. In this hour long call, it was just like, stop overthinking, just do it, get it done sloppy, and like it's gonna be okay, and it's gonna turn out great because like at the end of the day, like we say, done is better than perfect, but we still get stuck in like trying to chase perfection. And so I got it done. And at the end of the like call, I was like, holy cow. I think when they say don't overthink, this is exactly what we're talking about, where it's like we can criticize ourselves in the process of like just getting something out there so much that we end up not getting anything out there because nothing meets this magical standard. And it's extremely like it's like frustrating, right? Because it's you have these things, you have this purpose of like wanting to get these things out, whatever it is, whether it's like, hey, I'm trying to create content, or I am trying to like show up in a different way. Regardless, that like drive towards perfection is something that will always hold us back. And it really does tie back to like whether or not we believe that we are worthy or enough, because I'm not sure if you've ever thought about it this way, but when I heard something kind of similar that jogged this thought, I was like, oh my gosh, I've never thought about it this way. When we are striving for perfection, we are pretty much saying that unless we present this flawless, um, end all be all product, right? Whether that is like how we show up at work, how we interact, whatever it is, that we are not worthy of that outcome because we paralyze ourselves so much. And that's just not true. And the people that we see that we're like, oh my gosh, they're doing the things and it looks amazing. It's because they're doing the things. Like it won't be perfect when we are just like, it's kind of like the same thing. Like you can't get a six pack abs from like looking at workout videos. Like it's just not gonna happen. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next one. Another one is that I am like, maybe this seems very different from what you may have heard before, but like, I do not believe in like truly being confident before we execute something. I think confidence comes from repetition. When we are able to do something, it's so much more important, if you're familiar with like Brene Brown and like her work and stuff, for us to be courageous in the moment versus like striving for some level of confidence. Like, yes, it's awesome to see people and like show up with all of their energy and all of those things. But I think that when we like glamorize the idea of like showing up, being confident, bold, all those things, we're totally missing the thing. We're focusing on the end result instead of focusing on the journey. And there's so much more that can be accomplished. And like that feeling of rewarding, like feeling rewarded comes from courage. It doesn't come from confidence. As you do something more and more, like your confidence will come with it. But like the idea of striving from that from the beginning, it's kind of like we're kind of setting ourselves up for success. And so like I think the reframe really needs to be about what is it that we're really trying to accomplish. And I feel like confidence is not really it. It's just the thing that we can see a lot of the time. We can't see those moments, right? When someone is like really second guessing what they're doing and then they're putting on their like courage pants and doing the thing anyway. It's what we see is like, wow, they showed up and it looked great and like it was confident and whatever. But there's so much more that happened behind that. Okay, if you have questions, comments, seriously, just like pop them in the chat and I will check them out. I will see if I can see them on my phone. I'm not sure if it will work or not. And if not, that's totally fine. And I will just check it later. And yeah, I will finalize a nice schedule and stuff next week. So I'll definitely communicate that out to you all. In the meantime, if you liked like this type of topic, if you showing up in a more empowered way is something that you are actively striving to do and you want the like, hey, what do I do next? How do I make this happen? How do I not make this whole hard thing where I'm reading a ton of personal development books and I feel like I haven't implemented? Jump on over to the community that I help manage. And there is a ton of resources in there. There are how to's and just an incredible community for you to actually be supported on this journey. And the link should be in the description somewhere. So, with that, I hope that you're having a great Tuesday. And I will see you next time. Bye.